and welcome to our panel on Agentic Commerce. I'm Michael Pfeiffer. I'm the Director AI and Agentic Commerce here at Shopware, and I'll be our host for this session. We'll be discussing what Agentic Commerce means for merchants today and tomorrow, together with our amazing panelists, Stefan Hamann, Paul Kraus, Nils Frost, and Michael Blum, all of which work for companies that are part of the Agentic Commerce Alliance. But before we let them introduce themselves, let's have a quick show of hands. I'm really interested to know who of you in the audience, raise your hands, if you used ChatGPT this month at some point to answer a question you had. So that's more or less everyone. Please keep your hand raised. I'm very interested to discover something. So keep your hand raised if you believe that your business is going to be affected by agentic AI in some form in the next 5 years. Please lower your hand if you think it will have no impact on you whatsoever. So that's still quite a lot of hands. Now the interesting question. Keep your hands raised if your organization already has 2 or more autonomous agents operating on your behalf in production today. Okay, very cool. We definitely have some trailblazers here, but I do think that's probably the effect that every one of you expected, right? And that is something that we want to talk about today. What is the promise of agentic commerce, but then also what are practical steps that we can take as businesses in order to bridge the gap. So, agentic AI means a shift from AI that is knowing to an AI that is doing things on our behalf. Complex tasks that previously needed a human in the loop. For a lot of us, the aha moment was probably when OpenAI introduced Operator. Similar to how ChatGPT made it very tangible to all of us what the magic of LLM is by making it approachable through conversational interfaces, Operator allowed us to see in a browser how an agent can do autonomous tasks for us. And then, like us, probably a lot of you have been wondering, what does that mean for commerce? And that is something that we want to explore with our panelists today in terms of what practical applications exist and also what to expect in the future. Stefan, Paul, Nils, Michael, I'd like to each of you briefly introduce yourself. Tell us what excites you about agentic commerce, and then also share how your organization fits into that picture. And maybe, Stefan, we start with you.
Yeah, thank you. So what excites me? I think agentic commerce is probably the biggest change and also disruption in commerce in general. Also, it will be a huge advantage for those who are capable of adapting to it, and a very huge disadvantage for everybody who does not. It will mean a big shift in, let's say, unit economics for potentially every single merchant on the planet. I think on the one side, it allows automation in areas that were actually impossible quite a few years back. And that allows, reallocating budgets and capacities into innovation, differentiation, experiences, to end up in a world, where commerce is still very different, where we not have just copycat shops over copycat shops, but really unique and differentiated merchants out there, right? And sorry for the long monologue. I will talk more over the next questions. But Shopware is doing a lot in this direction. So we just founded an Agentic Commerce Lab, let's say a dedicated working unit within Shopware. And there, it's not, about the product roadmap of today or let's say of tomorrow. It's more about how will this new world of commerce look like. If you think around 5 years, 2030, what will commerce look like, and how can we help our partners, our merchants, to be, to play an important role in this new world.
Very nice. Thank you, Stefan. Okay, Paul, over to you.
Yeah, a quick introduction. I'm Paul. I'm partner AI at Team One Developers, and basically we help out businesses trying to make sense of this new technology in ways we used to do with agile and classical development. And what excites me the most about agentic commerce is that it's kind of a glimpse of what the future is that we always been talking about for the last probably 10 years. Voice commerce and all these kind of futuristic kind of headless scenarios now start to make sense, and you see really the kind of shift that started with mobile now makes sense, that all these kind of headless scenarios, which used to be quite abstract for most, become very tangible and understandable from a user perspective, because it does reduce friction to a total max, like we've seen with the demo with PayPal earlier on. So I'm totally happy to be with our company in the Agentic Alliance. Thank you, Paul. Over to you, Niels.
Yeah, hi. I'm Niels Floors, VP of Strategic Development at Channel Engine. So Channel Engine, we are an e-commerce and marketplace management suite. So we connect to about 1,000 marketplaces worldwide. And, well, as you may already know, this is a new channel for us that everybody wants to be on, but also we need to master. And that's actually what excites me, right? It's a whole new way of thinking, where we thought with getting your products found on Google, right, a long time ago, to getting your products found on a marketplace. But now, getting found, right, playing hide and seek with agents in the market. That's the new game that we're here, and that excites us, and I think the team as well. And if we're looking at, let's say, really developments that we're doing internally, is I think the biggest pain point was time to market or time to live with your products on external sales channels. So getting your content adapted and optimal for those marketplaces. So we have agents now scraping the web, looking in our own database, enhancing the content. And, well, we looked first into getting it found in all the search engines of the marketplaces. And now the team's thinking of how are the agents going to find us? So it's a new way of thinking, exciting way of thinking. So those are a few of the developments that we're working towards now.
Yeah, my name is Michael. I'm responsible for AI, QA, and DevOps at the Valantic. We are a Shopware partner integrator. And me and my team, we ensure that the shops are robust, running, and performant. And we ensure as well that our internal AI development integrated smoothly in the shop environment, like enriching with Product Data Hub, the data structure for our client. And for me, it's exciting that we see a shift from the active work to delegate to an autonomous agent more and more. And I see our organization as the enabler for our clients to be agent ready in the future with proper data structure and everything else what's needed to have an autonomous agent running.
Nice, very nice. Okay, maybe to start here, of course we are already all very excited about agentic commerce, but some of us might also be thinking, okay, what is this agentic commerce? And what's all the fuss about? Like, why is it such a paradigm shift? And maybe Stefan, just very briefly, what would you say is your definition of agentic commerce, and why is it so important?
So I think it's, the main difference is that it is autonomous. So it's basically not requiring a human in the loop. So in the future, especially in B2B, I see a lot of agent-to-agent transactions, including negotiation and everything what you would do today as a human in a complete automated way. if I think around B2C, it's comparable. It would then be more a human to agent process, right? Where somebody is interacting with PayPal, with ChatGPT, with Perplexity, and asking for a product, and gets basically recommendations, and the transactional process is completely automated through these platforms, right? So it's basically the user maybe has a limit. The user says, okay, I just want, just allow you to spend 100 euros or dollars, and everything above, you need my permission. But you know, everything under this threshold can be fully automated, spend it on behalf of the user, right? And I think this will add a lot of trust over time, so that the user, the customer, is getting more and more aware about how convenient it is. And as we all know, when things are convenient, it's often like that these things are getting the standard, right? And it will also happen in this direction.
Yeah, yeah. Which is already what we're seeing with our own behavior, right? Like, we used to Google, and now a lot of us probably are just going to ChatGPT because it's more convenient. So much so that Google had to react, basically. Niels, maybe over to you. Why do you think agentic commerce is such an important step forward for merchants and partners right now? And what new opportunities do you see for merchants and partners?
Yeah, so why it's going to be such a big opportunity is because, right, if you look at the Gen AI platforms, they have the biggest reach that you can think of at the moment. I mean, compared to any marketplace or third-party sales channel out there, right? There's no other channel that I think they only don't cover 11 countries in the world. The rest of the countries, they are live everywhere. So once they become fully agentic, that you have checkout, everything in place, it's going to go very quickly, and it's going to be a huge opportunity because, right, you can scale across regions, right, with maybe just one language, because it can understand every language in the world, right? So it's going to help you enable your channels or your regions even quicker than you can think of. That's external channels, but if you look internally with the right agents that can really understand your customers better than you can yourself, that can learn from what transactions, learn from the feedback that they're getting, right? Leaving carts or just returning products, right? Getting negative feedback and adapting that for future purposes, and proposing other products that are maybe more profitable for your organization as well. Based on the guidelines that you give it, it's going to help your entire business optimize and grow effectively. So those are two of them, and well, luckily together with Shopware we have the Multi-Channel Connect app, so we can unleash them all in the future. But that's what I see the biggest opportunity going forward.
Perfect, thank you. Paul, some folks in the audience might now think, okay, that sounds really cool what you're saying, Niels, but where do I actually start? So do you have any suggestion in terms of what merchants and other folks here in the audience, how they can think about where to deploy agents, where you can start today, and then also what kind of areas are probably not ready for prime time just yet?
I think there's probably three things you can consider starting with these agents. Number one is probably the most obvious, because we're sitting here at Shopware. It's the easiest to just use software that's already embedding solutions that help you like really speed up the process in terms of being agent ready, which, like we already mentioned, isn't a magic button. You just push and then overnight you find tons of traffic coming to your page, but it's the quickest way to get your infrastructure ready on the first place. On the second level, and that's super obvious, you should start taking a look into your stats, because you already see like tons of bots browsing your web page, looking for stuff. You don't have these kind of transparencies. They are already huge black boxes. So you don't have keywords, you don't have volumes. You just see an increase of amount of different agents browsing your site without you actually knowing if they're fetching product data, or is there any agent in your behalf already shopping with maybe a Comet browser or something. If you haven't tried, really download Comet browser. It's a really game changer, especially with more complex assortments. And the third one is probably understand where you really differentiate with these agents. So in case you're in B2B, it probably does make sense to think about these replenishment use cases where you have like very good guardrails. And there's also a very good cheat sheet from Stefan I can recommend in terms of this question. Try to make sense of not doing everything, but rather doing the right thing in the right order. So I would really recommend to think about your personal differentiation level in agents and not just using agents just because you can.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I heard one keyword in there, and that was B2B. Maybe over to you, Michael. You work with B2B clients, with enterprise-level clients who have compliance teams, legal teams, change management, and everything, right? So as you think about them, like, what do you think helps these type of clients adopt systems that make autonomous decisions?
Yeah, in the first step, all the mentioned legal stuff and everything is mandatory for these clients, so it's not negotiable. And we always recommend the client to start with a small agent, which start to check up the inventory, as an example, and send out a notification when the inventory, the stock level gets low. And from this starting point, we move slowly to value and said, okay, next step will be that the agent have a certain limit where he can do the own purchase, and the complete organization gains trust by this, step by step, and we move then slowly to a higher automation level without losing the organization, and gain more and more trust by moving slowly and added slowly value to this agent.
Yeah. So really starting with the simple use case, just making a proof of concept, starting to inch towards production use cases.
Correctly, and then move step by step to a higher use case with more value.
Yeah. And kind of staying with that theme of kind of being practical, maybe Paul, what is possible today? What's maybe one overhyped use case that we should avoid, and what is maybe like a more grounded use case?
I think the more overhyped use cases, you'll find plenty of them on LinkedIn, which have this kind of idea that you give the agent full control over whatever, your inventory, your internal processes. There's some magical MCP server. You just plug and play, and then everything is going just by magic. I think that's not the use cases, even if they sound quite interesting. It starts basically with creatives or fully autonomous CRM agents, or the most annoying ones are the outreach ones and leads. So you probably don't want that in sales, because it really destroys customer relations if you just unleash these agents without any guardrails, which brings me to the point that you really should consider guardrails and clear boundaries where these agents really follow your rules, because it's the same from the customer point of view. The customer wants to understand, like with the threshold, what is the agent allowed to do, and it works the same from a merchant or from a B2B perspective. What kind of guardrails make sense, so I'm in control what the agent is doing in my behalf or is allowed to access in terms of data, so I don't have like a big mess once all my data is leaked and stuff.
Yep. Okay, so basically, without naming any names, we recently had a company that IPO'd that very publicly stated a lot of use cases and then had to pedal back. So take the other approach and basically think about what is possible with the guardrails that I set for this. Okay, cool. I do think that gives us an idea of where and I need to flick through my cards. That gives us an idea of kind of what's possible today. We talked about really focusing on the guardrails, starting small, having POCs, and then kind of moving up the chain in terms of autonomy. But yeah, let's focus forward, and maybe I actually flicked too fast. Now let's fast forward to 2030, and then we get back to Stefan, which is your favorite topic, right? Paint us a picture of what empowering capabilities merchants will have access to in 2030 that aren't possible today.
Okay, so I think first of all, it's important to understand, the big picture. So I truly think, and it's not just me, it's also most of the analysts out there, that 2030, something between 30 and 40% of all e-commerce transactions are going through agentic commerce, right? It's quite a huge shift in just 4.5 years. So it will be an exponential development. And my gut feeling is that this will be a huge opportunity for many merchants out there, but on the other side also a big threat for many merchants that are already today only differentiated by, let's say, price and availability of products. Today we would say the marketplace game, right? And if I want to sell more, I have to lower the price, and then my competition is probably lowering the price, and I'm in little bit optimizing on a very bad place, so to say. And that's a big threat, because of that means, in the end, if you think it through, that a lot of e-commerce businesses will disappear, right? I think to really be a winner in 2030, it requires a shift in how e-commerce is seen. Also it's still, in many companies, not a strategic topic at all. Also it's a little bit like maybe an opportunistic topic, something that makes sense because of it works. But I think to iterate on business further over the next 4 to 5 years, it requires a strong strategy. Also I have to really think about what makes me as brand, as a manufacturer, unique. So why are customers buying here? What's the intent of buying my products? How can I transmit or communicate this information to the agent, so that the agents in the half a second thought window understand why my company is different in comparison to the 10,000 other companies that probably selling the same, right? And that is also a huge difference to the marketplace comparison I did earlier. There, a customer can still find you because of probably scrolling down the list a bit. In this new world, we are talking about that the agent is maybe just recommending one or let's say 3 merchants that are selling a product, and that is a complete new world. On the other side, I think if we let's say see this more as a channel. As a channel where transactions are coming through Shopware or a different solution, then the big question is, okay, how can I as a merchant really own the relationships to my customers? It's nice to get new orders, but in the end it is not super sustainable, right? And I think that has, again, a lot of connection points to differentiation and also to experience. I truly think that it's a brand identity. If money and innovation is put on these important topics, so why I'm different, so what is really the thing that makes my customers love my brand, and how can I accelerate on this? That are the important questions that needs to be solved, and also probably needs to be adapted over the next couple of years to stay in this game. So it will definitely not be easier than today. I think it will be somehow more complex. What will be easier is, everything what can be automated. Also I expect that in 5 years, nearby nobody is using the shopware administration anymore because most of it is automated. So you're just using it when the agent want a second opinion, so to say, right? And that on the other side frees a lot of time for other important topics.
Yeah. So in summary, what I hear you saying is that in an agentic world, intent is the interface. And we have to think about, okay, what are the signals beyond price and availability that we can kind of expose to agents? Be it trust, be it some form of communicating my values, my experience. So that is an unsolved challenge in order how to differentiate us there. Maybe over to you, Niels. If we think about kind of in the future, how do you think shopping behavior will evolve in a truly agentic world?
Well, I think, let's say, the autonomous part is going to be a big part of this, right? How autonomous can we get these agents? Because we already see that specialized agency perform better than, let's say, more the generalistic agents in the market. So I compare it a bit with, well, don't say this at home, but my wife. She knows me best. So right, her whole memory, she knows what size I have, what kind of products I like. So she's good at picking my clothes. Then, well, she has my credit card details. Very dangerous, but she does. She does the transaction out there. And then, of course, it comes home and then she looks at it, I wear it, and then she also decides, is it really something to keep or do we send it home? So the feedback loop is already there as well, right? So it's already running at home fully autonomously. But that's in fashion. She's specialist in fashion. But I'm a tech savvy guy and I like tech as well, so a lot of gadgets. I don't ask her about gadgets. I don't let her order the gadgets. That's what I do myself. But if you have specialist agents in, let's say, certain categories that, let's say, you launch, that learn, that iterate, that give, let's say, learn from the feedback and use the data that's available for them, because that's going to be a challenging one as well. But what data are you allowed to keep and which data should you forget in GDPR, right, here in the region? So working with that, getting to a fully autonomous way of working and getting the right agents connected to the right people or the right channels as well. That's going to be, I think, moving forward, how it's going to develop.
That sounds like a really exciting future where agents really know us and can really optimize for what we need. Michael, if we think about agencies like yours, or if we think about merchants, there are different ways to think about also agentic capabilities, not just in the e-commerce system, but then also for us internally, right? Like our teams. What is something, as you're thinking about as the world becomes truly agentic, what type of skills and roles do you see evolving within agencies and merchants?
Out of my perspective is not often the role with fancy title AI. I think the baseline would be in the near future that the data architect and the data engineer are the most important roles. Because in the end, when we're talking about AI, everything comes down to data. And that means for the future, we need a clear data structure where all the data are structured and good available for agents to ensure that they are knowing what's the best price, what's the stock level, what's the delivery options, and how to pay. And these data needs to be structured, and the API needs to be fast and hardened to withstand the fast requests from several agents. And therefore, this, in my point of view, are the most important role in the near future, that we have a good data structure as a foundation, and robust and good developed, fast, secured APIs. First of all, that the environment is running and that we are able to gain the trust that everything is safe, because the agent will act more and more autonomously. And that's, for me, the key role in this next phase.
Thank you. As one of the last two questions, Stefan, we talked a lot about today about the Agentic Commerce Alliance, right? And maybe we see all those nice fancy logos on the screen, and maybe I'm as a merchant, I'm asking myself, okay, how can I participate? How can I maybe get insights from the alliance, all the research that is being done, and so on? Can you maybe share what options there are for merchants?
So first of all, it's not planned to be, let's say, tech vendor-only alliance. We actually have also a first merchant in there, and I hope that a couple of merchants are joining too, because of only then, we have all the right parties on the table, because of what we want to solve there is really important. It's basically one of the initial projects will be to define a new data format that is not just doing, let's say, a product export as we know it for 15 years for Google Shopping or so, but a data format that is capable of, let's say, transporting the uniqueness, the intent of historical buyers to a product, probably something like return reasons of customers of a product and other data, so that the agent basically can use this and sees the advantage and the invest of a, let's say, professional e-commerce company versus maybe a China copycat version of it, right? And that is really, really important. It's one of the most important things we need to solve and untackle. And we also have to make sure that it is not solved in a black box in the Silicon Valley, but that it's solved in an open and transparent way. That is, I would say, one of the most important initiatives. And there, we need merchant feedback. So we need the feedback of the people that are working with our systems up and down, day by day, to fully understand what can be baked in and what can't be baked in.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And maybe for the audience, if you're a merchant, we are going to have a supporter tier where you can basically get access to everything that we develop in the Agentic Commerce Alliance, both in terms of research, but then also in terms of enablement material, in terms of the advocacy and outreach that we'll be doing. So you can head over to agentic-commerce.org and basically apply there today. Okay, we are at the end of the panel, and maybe last question to wrap things up. I know you, Paul, have a very exciting talk coming up on the commerce stage. I really like the title. It's quite clickbaity. AI in e-commerce, what everyone does and where you can still win. Maybe you can give folks a sneak peek of something that you will share, maybe one tangible examples of how merchants can differentiate today.
Yeah, sure. It pretty much goes in the same direction as Stefan already has been telling. Like, there is agentic is a whole blue ocean area where, like, at the moment nobody is, and at the same time nobody really knows what's going on. And at the same time, most people are still in a kind of catch-up, doing some basic stuff, starting from chatbots, making search smarter, etc., and where you need to really catch up to go ahead with customer expectations. And at the same time, even if you spend a lot of time doing so, you're still not better than the others, which is quite a challenge for most people. So I started to make sense by intensive interview feedbacks with experts to give different perspectives on that angle and find out what really works and helps going ahead and winning without doing all the same as your competitors.
Perfect. Okay. If you want to listen to more about what Paul has to share there, join him on stage. Not on stage, you cannot join him on stage. Join him in the audience at 4:45 on the commerce stage. And then thanks everyone for being part of this panel and listening to what our great experts here had to say. And then, of course, thanks to you, Paul, Niels, Michael, and Stefan for this nice round. Thanks, everyone.